Hi guys, it's Jennifer Smith, and my voice is not too great today, so I was trying to suck on a cough drop. But I want to talk to you about communication. Funny, since I'm not communicating very well right now with this sore throat going on. But I had some important things I wanted to share. You know, you hear all about communication and how it's important to be open and vulnerable and speak your truth, right? Well, I want to tell you today there are times in communication, especially with our spouse, our dear spouse, whom hopefully we fell in love with and we continue to work on that relationship. But there's times in communication when we just need to shut our mouth. Just shut up. Don't talk. Because to continue to talk can harm that relationship, can damage that relationship. So, when might that be? When should we just shut up? Those times when we are emotionally charged in a conversation, when it becomes heated and contention is happening, right? So clue, if I remember Sam, so Sam is when we feel stressed or we're feeling anxious or feeling mad, okay? So those three are clues that we're in a heated conversation. We don't want to keep having that conversation when we're feeling stressed or anxious or mad. So I'm going to give you some tips. I hope you like my tips. And the acronym for my tips of when we need to shut our mouth in communication is STOP. Or if you envision in your mind, stop sign. I was going to go out on the road and stand by a stop sign today to do this video for you, but it's kind of noisy out there. So I thought it would be better if I just share from my quiet bedroom. So the acronym STOP. When you're in a heated conversation, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling mad, okay? So the S is you need to separate. Now, I am not talking about leaving your spouse. I'm not talking about that kind of separation. But you just need to excuse yourself in some way. Say, I need to talk about this later. This is not going anywhere, so I'm going to leave for a little while, okay? So you need to separate from the conversation from your spouse. And then the T, so that is the S in stop. And then the T is you need to take some time to cool down. When we're emotionally charged, we literally have so many negative chemicals dumped in our brain that we can't think straight. And we need to take time to let those chemicals neutralize and cool down. Now, depending on the situation and depending on how strong those emotionally charged feelings were, it might take longer for you, or it might take longer for your spouse to actually cool down so that you can think clearly and get out of that animal brain. So you need some time is the second tip. And then the third tip with an acronym STOP is we're to the O, is you need to be able to open up your heart. Now, when we are in an emotionally charged situation, having a contentious conversation, we're not being too logical. So some people would say, well, I need to go more into my head. And I don't agree. I think we always need to have strong, passionate feelings. But when the strong, passionate feelings are negative, we need to be able to separate ourselves, to have time to cool down, and then open up our hearts. And I would suggest remembering why you love your spouse. what brought you together, and how you would really like to have a conversation with them. Even if the topic is a tough topic, sometimes that's why we have contentious conversations. It's because the topic is tough. But think of a way of how to open up your heart and to feel love towards your spouse again before re-engaging in a conversation, especially if you were just having a tough topic, right? Okay, so that's the O in STOP. Now P, kind of a cool idea. The P is you can plan. You can actually look at your calendar or look at the schedule later in the day and plan a time to have this conversation with your spouse. Now, especially if it was a tough topic. Sometimes it's not a tough topic. Sometimes we engage in a conversation and it's just the time of day. Or we were already tired, we were already stressed out over something else. And so even though the topic with our spouse is not really a tough topic, we can still go into the stressed, the anxious, and the mad because of other things that have been going on in our lives. So let's, for a review, remember the next time you're having an upsetting conversation, contentious conversation, stop. Literally separate yourself from your spouse, from the situation. And then T is take some time to cool down, to get out of your animal brain, to be able to have a heartfelt, open, honest conversation. And then opening up your heart to remember why you love your spouse and why you make such an awesome couple anyway, right? And I'm going to go a little further on this, that when we're having a contentious conversation and we're feeling stressed, anxious, or mad, that there's usually some lies going on in our mind. If we really focus on our thoughts, there's some lies in there about ourselves, our spouse, the situation. So when we open up our heart to love, then we can find the truth and the light to connect and communicate from a heartfelt space. So very cool. And plan, especially for those tough topics. Plan a time when you're calm, when you're not stressed or anxious about other things, and have those important conversations. So thanks for listening. And I want to ask you to help me by sharing below what are some ways you can remember why you love your spouse, to help yourself cool down when you've had a heated conversation, those contentious conversations. What are some ways that you can remember why you like your spouse and why you love your spouse? Sometimes it's just liking them, right? Depending on the moment. I hope you will have some amazing, heartfelt conversations. And remember, there is a time when you really should just shut your mouth. Bye, guys.